Welcome to episode 6 of Game by Thrones. We want to say, first of all, just thank you for all the support early on. It's been fun doing this and the different guests we've had. But also, if you haven't already, subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Share on Facebook and Twitter when we put it on there. It really helps a lot to get it out to other people, especially when we have out-of-towners on, to get their hometown people in and listening and watching as well. So thank you. Zach's going to introduce the guest today.
Today, we have Dan Rice, and if you're from Lake Mills, you know all about Dan Rice, one of our favorite people, one of our favorite coaches. He's a Lake Mills alum, teaches American and world history as well as economics. His econ class senior year was kind of one of those.
It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun, but
Semester
like one
class,
of those. It was kind of
nice,
daunting. Yeah,
but a nice go out of senior year.
No, yeah,
class.
it was always
Yeah.
econ with Rice, government with Beamer, and then English with Ham. Those are
Yeah.
kind of the big three
Yep.
senior year. But he's also the head boys track coach, which we talk about a lot at the start. They're having a good season this year, and this past year we talk about that as well. He's also a former JV and 8th grade basketball coach. I had him for 8th grade. You had him for JV.
Correct.
Now he's not coaching basketball anymore, just track, and he's also a driver's ed teacher. He was not my driver's ed instructor.
He was
I had
after
Mr.
me.
Duggar. But
You had him, but
yeah,
you
he
had
taught, but
the
yeah,
tandem.
we didn't drive with. I didn't
Yep.
drive with Mr. Rice. I had Mr. Duggar. But yeah, so we have Dan Rice. We had a lot of fun. Went through some connection issues, but we ended up getting through it, and it was a fun conversation. So we hope you guys enjoy. Make sure to subscribe, follow, share this on all your social medias. Thanks for listening, guys. It's time to listen to Game by Thrones, episode 6.
So we got Dan Rice on today. Dan, looks like you're sitting outside. It's like 90 degrees outside today?
I'm in the shade, though. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me if right below the screen you have a coffee just kind of sitting there.
Iced tea.
Okay.
All right.
Not
That
for
probably
coffee
makes
right
more
now.
sense. That's true. That is true.
You smoking any food? You grilling it all right now?
No, my brother-in-law, Fabian's smoking a brisket. So we're going over there after we get done here today.
Oh, so
Gotcha.
you get the easy job. You just get to show up and eat. That's perfect. That is perfect. All right. So, to start off, track season. Up until today, it's kind of been hit or miss in terms of like really cold, rainy. For some reason, I feel like there's always cold meets right away, but like this has been different. Is that right?
Temperature-wise, it's been cold. We've had seasons like this before where it's been cold and wet. This has been dry, but really cold. Some teams have tried to push having meets in the 40s. And that's something, it's already a difficult sport for the kids when it comes to the weather. And then trying to get them out there and push when it's that cold, it can be a recipe for injury. So far, some of the other schools seem to have gotten through it all right, but we've been, bit pretty good when it comes to the injury bug this year. So I've been pretty apprehensive about cold weather meets. We didn't host ours. I got up that day. It was in the upper 30s, I think. But then, lo and behold, by the end of the day, it ended up being pretty nice. Jackson gave me a call from the golf course and said it was gorgeous out, and why weren't we having our track meet? So
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, when you have so many teams coming in, you got to make that decision pretty quick. It's not like a baseball game where I call one person and you're pretty good. You got teams coming from everywhere.
Yeah. Usually it's about a 60-mile radius. You've got teams coming in, maybe even a little longer than that. So, you've got to make the call early. And Mr. Beamer, he's tough. He tries.
Yeah, that's true.
To me, you guys ran, when it was at our place, it was usually horrible. So,
True,
It felt
yeah.
like every single year, Lake Mills usually had bad weather.
Yeah,
Like
there's I don't remember what meet was it, but you said when I went out the one year I went out for track, the whatever traditional cold meet like Eagle Grove or somewhere down there that always was dark and misty, and that was not fun.
Mm-hmm.
That is not. I mean, football weather that'd be sweet.
Yeah.
but not track.
you're
Not at
wearing
all.
more clothes in football. You're out
That
there in
is
your
true.
underwear
That is true.
track, so.
Then one of your favorite quotes, what is it? I'm going to butcher it. No, don't. It's opposite, but don't let the heat give you a false sense of being warm. Something like that.
Something
Right.
like that. Yeah.
Yep, on warm weather we did pull that out on Friday last night. Last night weather was beautiful, and then the kids tend to not want to warm up properly. They think they
True.
feel good. That heat will lull you into a false sense of security. So those nights are just as important to warm up. So
that is probably my second favorite quote behind. The number one is Axe is not shower in a can. That is my favorite. I love that one. Which is true. I mean,
that has not changed. We still work in middle school kids some, and I think they think that's a supplement. So
yeah, I was gonna say that's probably more of a middle school problem, but those kids need that talk for sure.
Yeah, I would like to think I probably wasn't the same way, but I'm sure to a degree I was. Yeah, had to be.
Especially me being like a big sweater like my whole life, like it's just not a good. It's like
I
putting
feel
on
your
Axe
pain,
over the
Zach.
sweat. Yeah,
Not a good combo.
Yeah.
The sweat is just a tough deal. But what's conference and districts looking like? How many more weeks or how many more days?
Conference is going to be tough. Early on we thought we could make a push. We've just had so many injuries, and then we had kids that just were unable to compete this year. If we were healthy and had everyone we should have, I think we could make a run. But before the season started, we knew we wouldn't have Caden Obley. He was having that foot repaired. He's having all the hardware taken out of his foot from when he broke his leg last year. And he had to have another procedure. So he's a very talented special athlete. He would have been a big help in some of the longer sprints, especially the 2, the 4. He could run the 4 lows. I think the 8 would have been his best race. He could high jump also, and we don't really have any high jumpers this year. So, losing a kid like that, and then of course Brady Hansen, is just an absolute beast when he's healthy. Yep. Not having him, really hurts. He may try to run a race or 2 at the end of the year here, but mostly just to participate, and be part of it. We'd love it if he was the Brady we saw last year coming in as a freshman. But with all the injuries he had, we just want him to be healthy and be able to participate for Coach Throne in baseball. So
that would be great.
It's been a strange year. All of our best athletes have been hurt. Carson came obviously ACL injury during football. He's been coming back. He is starting to look like his old self. Deshaun tweaked a hamstring last night. Caleb did a little something on Tuesday, but he seems to be back.
District-wise, you guys go to Northwood for districts, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's always nice to run there. We're in a fortunate part of the state where in 1A, as far as 8-lane, you have to have an 8-lane track. You have to have fully automated timing to host a district meet. Yeah, the state does come and look and see what your facilities look like, see if they think you should be able to host a district meet with us. We had a nice run there where we had about 6 years in a row where we hosted. Then we got bumped up to 2A for a little while, and we haven't really hosted since. Northwood's been getting a lot of the district meets for 1A. Then we've gone to Osage and Garner, which is fine. It was actually kind of fun being in 2A for a few years off and on. You really learn to compete at a higher level. I feel like 2A, other than maybe 4A, is the toughest class to be in. 3A, I look at the times, we had 1 year, it would have been when Grant Felstead was a freshman. We had a nice shuttle that year, but we didn't get in. And we would have qualified multiple events in 3A. But that year in 2A, it was just too tough. I feel like the 2A and 3A schools are very similar. There's just a whole lot more 2A schools in the state of Iowa.
No, that makes sense.
Yep.
That's kind of like I remember Slade always used to say about wrestling, 1A and 2A. Like you say, you'd call it sipping the Kool-Aid if you thought 3A was by far the best for wrestling. No. So yeah, he always talked about how 1A and 2A, depending upon the year, are usually the better wrestling classes, especially with all the depth and all the schools.
Yeah, you have all the numbers, and I just looked at the
track. If you're in 4A and track, half the relays go from every district.
True.
Site. So I think there's 8 teams at every site, and four events advance automatically. So I think that's how it works. I think half the squads go. So there's advantages and disadvantages to every class. I remember when I started, you had 1A was 2 automatic qualifiers, 2A was 3, and there were no at-larges. And I remember when we moved down to 1A. That would have been when Steve Hengesteg was a junior. I had Pete Brecken as a senior at that time. And we had a nice squad, and I thought, do we want to petition up to 2A? Because I like the chance at getting having 3 shots at getting down to state. And, Mr. Beamer talked me out of it. He said, no, I think you'll like being in 1A. And what we found out was it was harder to get down to state in some events, but once you got there, you felt you could do a little more damage in 1A. We found that out the hard way. I wasn't so happy. We ran the 4x1 at Britt, and we got 3rd place and didn't get in, but we ran the 4th fastest time in the state of Iowa in Class 1A that year and didn't get in. Steve likes to tell that story. I think he maybe exaggerates a little bit about how angry I was after the race. But we were not supposed to get the 4x4 in, and those 4 guys went out and stepped up and managed to get the 4x4 down to state that year, and they got a medal out of the deal too. So they were a fun squad, and that district, it's kind of fun. There's a lot more strategy to track than people think. People just think you throw your athletes out on the track and let them go. But it takes you spend a lot of time poring over numbers and trying to figure out what your best chances are. And some years it's just trying to get kids down to state. Those years are a lot of fun. I know when I had Taylor for track, that year we just took a bunch of events down. I don't think we medaled a single race. That was one of the most fun years I've ever had at the state track meet. We got 6 events down. Those guys were all so excited to be down there, and it was a great year weather-wise, and we just had a ton of fun with those guys down there. So it's one of those things people don't realize. They think about the hard stuff in track, trying to have practices in March and April, and the weather's terrible. But if you can survive to the end of the season, you usually get pretty nice weather when state track rolls around. So.
Yeah, no, that's true. I always remember guys would come back, to school just red and burnt. Yep. And but yeah, no, it definitely, I think I went down one time just to watch. Very cool atmosphere, obviously, with the blue track, just giving a little more a difference there. Very cool.
I also went down to state, I think, a couple times, and I want to say it was my sophomore year. I always tell people the best race I ever watched at state track, I believe his name was Thomas Pollard. It was 2 mile and 3A. That race was so awesome.
Did you just kill everybody? Or what?
I mean,
Boone had 2 kids that were supposed to finish 1st and 2nd, and Pollard was kind of the 3rd guy, and he just had a plan. I watched his coach talk to him the whole way, and they were calm as could be the whole time, and he just clicked off laps in that 2 mile, and those 2 kids from Boone just kind of drifted away, and he set the all-time record for the state of Iowa. You're right. That was one of the best races I've ever seen down there.
And you wouldn't really expect that out of a 2 mile. Some people expect it has the assumption, it's a boring race. It's just them running really slow around the track. But that race was awesome because the PA announcer was kind of announcing, he was on pace to break the record and stuff like that. So everybody was getting into it. It was a lot of fun. So I tell people that's my probably the most memorable race I ever had to witness at state track.
That is.
Yeah, I always try to bring the kids in on that south end so when they walk in, you walk in and it's just, you see a mass of people and you see that big blue oval and it grabs a hold of them. I always try to be able to bring some young kids down so that, they can experience that, so that they have that, that drive over the next 2-3 years to get down there themselves. And I've had kids say that to me. I had Garrett Hanna just a couple of years ago. I brought him down. He just thought that was the most amazing thing he had ever seen down there. So, and then he did end up getting to run as a junior in several events and ended up medaling one. He medaled one. So,
and they usually announce the numbers at the end of the weekend, and the Iowa State track meet is usually up there for the country for state track meets. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think 2019 it was something like 30,000 people attended or something like that over the 3 days. So yeah, it's one of the best in the nation. It's one of the few where they host the entire meet co-ed at one site. A lot of the big state, Texas and Arkansas and some of the big track states down south, they'll actually host it at several different sites across the state of Iowa. The Arkansas head track coach used to coach at UNI, and he He said that, he goes, you don't realize what an experience it is here. And I think running it at state, especially on Saturday, is one of those things that rivals probably the state wrestling tournament on Saturday night. I think it's got to be right up there in my opinion, but I'm biased when it comes to that. I'm sure some of my wrestling colleagues would disagree. But.
No, I mean, obviously those two state tournaments are the top two state tournaments.
You have so many kids from like pretty much every school getting there, and
it's just cool to see all the different colors in terms of teams, fans, and then the special athletes that come around. It's super cool. Now, kind of a tough question.
Yeah.
Last year, I believe Kyle told me he would have been more surprised if you didn't win state as a team than if you did. But obviously, we all know what happened. Your own son was a senior last year. How did you deal with that?
It was tough. I'll admit I was depressed for a long time. I've compared it to having a death in the family. It's one of those things you'll never get over it, but it gets a little better all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, that one, I can't lie. That hurt because you don't get a chance to do that very often. You see some squads that just seem to always get that talent, and they're down there every year and they're competing for state titles year in and year out, it seems like. But that's not normal. And you as a coach at a small school in Northern Iowa, you're not going to get many chances to do that. Bob is one of those coaches that when I was a young coach, really he wanted to beat you, but you had that feeling, if other than beating you, he wanted the best for you. And when I was a young coach, he helped Kyle and I a lot, kind of taught us how to talk to track kids. Talking to track kids is a lot different than talking to basketball kids. And, when he was coaching, I just kind of thought, oh boy, you work hard, you get your kids out there to compete, and maybe you win state titles. Just kind of talking about last year's team or the team we would have had. It was one of those teams where from the 100-meter dash to the 2-mile, we had, some of the best athletes in the state. I feel like that was a team that could have competed up a couple of classes with bigger schools. We had, quick sprinters like Logan Prescott, Carson Eaton. We obviously had, middle distance kids like Mason Fritz and Jackson and Caleb Albert. And it just kind of went on. And those guys could run a lot of races. I could run Mason in 4 events. And I could run him in 4 events that were 400 meters or longer. I mean, he was just, I felt like that group was indestructible. I could throw them out there and they could do anything. And then you just had depth. You had kids that were some of the best I've ever coached, but then you had tons of guys filling spots like a Garrett Hanna, who is just indispensable, or a Blake Storby, or, those young guys coming up at that time, like an AJ Raymaker, or even a kid, one that I really was, hoping would get a shot is a kid like Parker Eaton. Not Parker Eaton, Parker Rugstead.
Yeah. Yep.
You mentioned Jackson. Of course, that's tough, when your own son's a senior. And he was going to run on a race that had a chance to compete for a state record in the 4x8. But I looked at some of those other kids. Jackson got to run twice, and he got to medal down there.
Somebody just younger is better. I mean,
it's all the watch. Some chemistry in some races, and basketball is definitely a chemistry sport. Right. I know that was one of the things we had talked about, the difference between coaching track and coaching basketball. Basketball, you don't necessarily need the 5 best scorers on the floor, the 5 best athletes even. You need the 5 best players that create chemistry and can get the job done. Whereas in track, you need some of that.
Yeah.
Just not as much. You can usually make you can smooth out the things that aren't working good and usually put that best team out on the track with your 4 fastest guys. And definitely in the 4x8, it would come down to the 4 fastest guys. The handoffs aren't as
true. It's not as
handoffs.
It's not as
we
crucial.
Talked about that. Coach Rubitz and I are like, because we had 5 studs and 5 guys that any other year, if they were the only 800 runner on the team, would have been by far our best 800 runner. And he goes, what are you going to do if, when so-and-so gets back? And I said, well, whoever's fastest.
Yeah.
I I had to do it one other time to one of my all-time favorite track kids. He was a shuttle hurdler for me. This was when Mateo came along, and Mateo took the spot of a senior when he was a junior. So, and that was hard. It was really hard to have that conversation. But it's a young man that I still talk to, and I'm proud of him being one of my athletes to this day. And he went down to the state track meet, sat with me right up front in Suburban, all the way down, all the way back. We talked the whole time. He had a great time. But I'm sure it was tough. It's a hard sport that way. And I know other coaches that have stuck with their own kids in that situation too. And I told myself I couldn't do it. And Jackson did battle through, and he ended up running one of the faster times I've ever coached. And he did it injured, at the district meet. Between conference and districts, he actually pulled something in his hip and groin area.
Yep. Talking about that for
Brian, and God bless Brian Budak.
Yes.
I always say, after my wife, Brian Budak is the most important man when it comes to
That's hilarious.
Track season. He is.
He does.
I've got a list
that
goes to him after every track meet, I feel like.
Yep.
And we are so lucky to have a guy like that in Lake Mills that gets our kids healthy and able to compete. And now sometimes he just needs to get them good enough to get through the end of the season.
Right.
And that was the case with Jackson. So, and I'm really putting him to work this year. So.
Well, he cares too. Like,
it'd be
cares about
different.
sports and-
Yeah. If he wasn't a sports guy either, it might not do as much,
harder
but
for
he
him.
loves sport. Like
Yeah, and he knows every
general.
kid. I don't even have to send him, I don't need to send, like last night, Caleb Albert hurt his toe. I just say, Bert hurt his toe. Do you think you can see him? And yep, send him. And he knows exactly who you're talking about.
Yep.
And he knows that for every single sport, boys and girls. We are just so fortunate to have him in our community. And we had a good one before, Lisa Stutzman, when she was here before. She was great too. And then when she left, when she was leaving, I was kind of worried.
Oh yeah.
And then we got Brian, and he's been fantastic. So, and just a good member of the community.
I was gonna say, at least with him, more than likely, I think he's around for a long time.
Yeah.
Because if he
He's
was ever
younger than
gone,
me, so.
yeah, if he was ever leaving, that's a tough replacement.
That's
That'd
kinda-
be like
I might.
replacing Jim Beamer at AD type thing. Like they do so
I know,
much.
like Phil Jackson with the Bulls.
Yep.
Yeah, oh, great. That's
I learned
good.
about that
That's
in
good.
the Last Dance pod. Holy cow.
Yeah, you bet.
30 for 30. Next question. We talked a little bit about basketball. You haven't coached for a few years, basketball-wise anyways. How has it been transitioning from coaching, JV and a lot of 8th grade basketball now to just being a spectator?
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever told you guys, I was not going to coach. I did not want to be a coach when I was preparing to be a teacher.
Wow.
I was not even going to get my coaching authorization. And my college advisor said, "You're a social studies teacher. You got to get your coaching endorsement, or you aren't getting a job."
It's
So I did. I got it, and then I'm like, by miracle, a job opens in my hometown, and I met Kyle for the first time at an open gym, and I just ended up gardening. I'm like, I'll kick this guy's tail, and he took me to school. He was a good ball player. Yeah, he gave me the business and was just nice as could be about it the whole way. And yeah, it was. And he's been one of my best friends ever since. And I came on, to be a JV basketball coach, and I thought that was a good fit for me. Back then, JV was a ton of work. We didn't have the quad, so you'd have games almost every day.
That's true.
other than Wednesday.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yep.
I'd have a JV game on Monday, and then we'd have a varsity game on Tuesday, a JV game on Thursday, varsity game Friday, and then every once in a while we'd have Chris, I know you played in when we do these JV tournaments once in a while.
One in Northwood, I think.
We did that.
Yeah,
my
over at
freshman year.
Northwood, and then we added one at Britt one time, I remember, and I did 10 years of JV, and then I moved down to middle school for a little while. I was coaching youth basketball and high school, and it was a lot. And I thought, well, maybe the JV or the middle school would be better. And then that gives me time between middle school boys ending and track starting, and then I can get kids in the weight room. So I started helping out more with weight room then. And I really enjoyed that. But I really liked middle school basketball. I got to have Zach's squad there. I would say that was one of my, I always said I wish that team could have played Jackson's middle school team.
It would have been a good game.
It would. Jackson was my only, that was my only undefeated season coaching middle school. I felt like you maybe had a couple better squads. That Garner squad was tough.
Yeah.
Mostly because they had that gigantic, was it Van Dusseldorp kid?
He was the grade below us, Van Dusseldorp was.
Oh, he was. Okay.
They had Holden Hutchison and Johnny O'Connor, who were good.
I thought they had a big kid too, but
they did have a big kid. I think he was more like a Ventura kid. He didn't play really in high school, but he was tall. He was like 6'1" in 8th grade, and we did not have that.
Yep. Man, we had a tough time with those guys. I thought we were going to get them at their place. Actually, we played them a little better the second time. But yeah, I always say those are my two best middle school squads that I coached. Was those two. But I thought Jackson's team had maybe some easier games. I thought you guys had to battle a little more in a few of yours. But you guys had a fun squad, and I really, I still say I think. If I had an all-time middle school team I put together, I would put Slade on that team.
Oh, yeah.
I think he was one of my best middle school basketball players I've ever coached.
Yeah.
And not just because he was a big athlete. The thing about Slade that people don't understand is he was committed to whatever sport he was in at the time. I came into the gym one day and I see Slade in and he's working on shot technique, and I see Zach's kind of down there coaching him. And they're in 8th grade and this is going on, and I thought, that kid, he's gonna be all right. And Slade, he knew every set, he knew how to run everything. When we had him, he was all in. I didn't treat him like a kid that was gonna be gone the next year, because I knew he was. Obviously being one of the best wrestlers, if not the best wrestler in school history. But when I had him, he was one of the best basketball players I ever coached. I really enjoyed him.
Yeah, I always say in 7th grade, he was like for sure our best player. And then 8th grade, that's kind of when Chuck came along. So it was kind of those two. They kind of dominated that 8th grade year. They were both really good.
So just so we're all clear, you just chose Zach's team over your own son's.
Yeah.
That's what
he said he'd like to see him play. He said he'd like to see him play. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of matchups in my head.
And here's the sad thing, because I coached those guys from 3rd grade through 8th grade. The only year I took off, I think you had them in 7th grade, Chris? Or did somebody else have them there? You had them.
I think so. Yep.
I think Zach's group had a little bit better chemistry than that group. You guys played really well together. Jackson's group, everybody took a role, but you guys had a couple of kids that could really shoot the rock, and we kind of lacked that outside shot. Chet was kind of the kid that could shoot threes. He could shoot all over the floor, but he wasn't the Chet Helming we got to see as a
that's
junior
true.
Yet. He was our best scorer, but he really developed into a man by the time he was a senior. So.
Well, we only had 10 guys on our team too, so like we were playing some B team games too to get like Ethan Evans played basketball.
Oh, I know.
And I'd have to go in and give him a break during the B team game, and we're A team starters, but we only had 10 guys. So
I was getting yelled at on social media, and I didn't even know what to. Yeah, people were giving me the business because I had to play. I think I played you or something for a little bit, and I thought, I got 5 kids here.
Exactly.
How to play somebody. These guys, poor Estridge, he'll be dead. Or
I was gonna say
one of those guys.
Marcus.
That was chubby Marcus too.
Hey, that worked him into shape. He became really
turned into a heck of an athlete by the time he was a senior.
Yes.
I loved watching Marcus Estridge play football. He was
the underrated part of that team. Like defense, he was an animal.
An animal.
He would put his nose in there. He'd put it to you.
Oh yeah.
He didn't look like a guy that would hit you that way, but he was fearless.
Marcus was good.
He's not as put together as Caleb, but did he kind of have that same mentality?
Yeah, he was very like, no stopping, like the motor. He had the motor.
Well, he was a fullback and a
linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome.
Those are the kids. They're the surprises you just love to have as a coach. You get a kid like that who just loves the game and
he almost didn't go out freshman year. He came out like 2 weeks after it started.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I mean, he might not have ever played football, which that would have been.
I've had those in track too, though. Kids that weren't going to come out and then had an amazing career. Though Dylan Sprecher didn't come out as a freshman. and ended up being a state champion.
State champ.
His buddy
That's true.
talked him out, and then he quit later on. His buddy did.
It's true.
Interesting.
And I'm going to shout out John Grunov because Alex almost didn't play baseball my senior year, and
That's
that
true.
would have been an absolute terrible decision by Alex.
That was a
John
good
made
Alex
him.
still gets mad at me. Alex did not let her as a freshman.
Oh,
And I have a pretty strict policy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have that point system. And
Yep.
if you don't get it, I think he missed by like 5 points as a freshman.
Yeah.
And he was mad. He still mentions that to this day. And he's a kid as a senior, finally got his due, qualified for state in the long jump and the
Yep.
shuttle. And that kid, you can tell who his parents are because he got in
Yeah.
that Suburban when we were at school. He did not shut up till we came back into the school after that weekend was over. He talked beginning to end. It was incredible.
That's
And I thought,
awesome. He's got to
are-
watch this.
You take after both your parents.
Yeah, no, I love talking to John. John is one of my
Yeah.
favorite people
Oh,
to talk
yeah.
to. And he's always driving bus.
Driving
I mean,
bus,
it's
yep.
just perfect.
Yep. to the game.
Oh yeah, he drove to every one of those meets,
That is
and he
awesome.
loved track. He was a good track athlete himself.
Really.
That
How
was
many
way
years ago was
before
that?
my time in late '60s. He was.
There
He was. I think he might have been a state qualifier. Even they have some school records that'll never get broke.
Interesting.
How has
'cause
he
they had the
never
mile
bragged
relay.
about that?
I'm surprised
He's
that's
never
came
told me
up.
about
I'm surprised
that.
that's never came up.
Yeah. I gotta ask
I've
him
got
now.
a bunch of archives of old races. The distances they don't have anymore. Because they did, the 440 and the mile relay, and yeah, he's on that.
Oh, okay.
God,
Here, I think he
Interesting.
ran with Vernon Oakland too. The
soldier.
the athlete of the year's named after
Yeah.
he was killed in Vietnam.
Yep.
And John got to run with him. My dad remembers him too, actually.
Interesting.
So-
I remember when we
That's
went to
very
DC, his name's
Yeah.
up on the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And we
Yep.
etched it out.
Everybody
or-
does it unless they
Good
have
tracing.
some
yeah,
other
when I was a
family
kid, my
connection.
parents took me and we found his block on the wall when we were, or his spot on the wall when we were out there too. So
It's I don't know. It's a
Yeah.
cool moment. Like just about everybody that goes there too gets his name, unless obviously they have like a family
True.
member or something.
Yep.
It's
I
kind of
haven't
cool.
gotten to do that yet either. So Jolie was supposed to go to DC,
I
and
didn't
I was
even
going to
think
Gotcha.
of that.
So we're waiting to see when we're going to get to go. We did all the fundraising, and we'll see what happens.
I will say, I wish we did it. Now looking back, I wish we did it like in high school
little
sometime,
older,
so
so
we
you can
appreciate
understand,
things a
yeah.
little more.
Right.
But it's super.
Yeah, Jolie
cool.
will be a sophomore if we go this year. So
That'll
I
be-
feel like that might be
Yes,
better. But
it'll resonate a little more, I think.
so my parents took me when I think I was 14 or 15, and I got some out of it because I've always liked history. But I think I would have got a lot more out of it when I was older. I dragged Jolie to a lot of these things, and she's a good sport about it. But
Yeah.
how much she really enjoys it.
I wish you could have been. You should have been like an all-time guest on these trips. Then you could have told us everything about like the museum and
True.
little landmarks
Yeah, but
and stuff like that.
I'm not much for those. I like going to the weird places. I
The
like
lesser known.
off the beaten path type stuff. So
Gotcha.
See, now when I went,
took-
like my favorite thing, or what I was looking forward to, besides just taking a week off of school, was going to the National Archives because I love National Treasure.
National
That was
Treasure
about
movie.
it. Yeah. So that was my highlight of the trip. That place was sweet.
You're a big Nicolas Cage fan.
Big Nick Cage fan. Those movies are some of the best of all time.
I don't know about that.
my wife loves that movie too.
Yeah. They're good movies, but
I've
Chris
taken
kinda
her
hypes
to a
them
lot
up.
of the places from that movie.
Yeah.
I bet my wife's watched that.
It's
See, that's my kind of thing. I like to find all that out of the way stuff.
I've
And connect the dots.
I've made so this year in school for middle school we have to have the kids eat in our classroom. So we watched I don't know how many movies. That was I think the first two we
one,
watched.
yeah, of course.
Okay.
Watched them both.
He's a huge National Treasure.
Just
guy.
love it.
Talking, I guess we can kind of go right into it. Talking about movies. This is a later question, but
I saw you had that on the list here.
the
I don't even know
legendary-
about this.
The legendary movie list. I think I remember the first person I heard talk about it. I think was Paul Pins, your TA.
All pins.
Yes, I remember him mentioning it.
I don't
And you know,
even-
Taylor's
yeah.
in the same grade, really good
True.
friends with him, so that's
Yep.
how I heard about it. You want to elaborate
I
on your
gave
movies?
that list to your cousin.
You gave it to our cousin. On Hell, you did.
Really?
I think he watched just about every movie on that list.
Wow.
Kind of doesn't.
There's
surprise
over
me.
100 movies on there.
Is it ranked?
I didn't, just because some of my favorite movies are a little sketchy, and I didn't know I should maybe blend those in a little bit.
Gotcha. I remember. I think during class in high school isn't one of your favorite movies? Was it Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter?
I enjoy that. I don't even know if that
Okay.
one's on the list.
Okay, I remember
like
you
movies
raving
that
about
have
that
some
movie.
fun with history.
Gotcha.
They do a good job though. They hit a few things that I think touch on Lincoln kind of spot on.
Yeah. What would you say is like your top 5, or like what's your go-to 3 movies?
I love Quentin Tarantino movies.
Okay.
I like movies that are kind of dark but still have some humor.
Mm-hmm.
Pulp Fiction is probably my all-time favorite movie.
That was one of my guesses when I was talking about this today.
I've probably watched that. I had a year in college where that was about the only thing I watched. I had old VCR and I'd just hit play when I'd walk in the room. And
Well, it's like now you turn on Netflix and you throw
Yeah,
on
you
a
just
random movie.
don't
and
really
just-
watch, but it's
Yeah.
there. Yeah, I get
right.
I haven't seen Pulp Fiction.
Probably my favorite sports movie is probably either Hoosiers or The Natural. Those are my 2 favorites probably.
that. Good ones.
And then one of my rewatchables that whenever it's on, I watch is A League of Their Own. That's one.
Okay.
That is good.
Every time it's on, I watch it. So I enjoy that one.
You wouldn't really expect that
speaking
movie to be
of guys-
good.
No.
Do you guys ever listen to the Bill Simmons podcast on the rewatchables?
I haven't listened to the rewatchables. I hear him mention it all the time. I usually just listen to his NBA stuff.
See, that's my number 1 podcast I listen to. I love it.
I love when
'Cause
he
he's
has
my-
Ryan Russillo on. Yeah.
So he likes all the movies I like.
Yep. That's
I'd say my favorite funny movie is probably Step Brothers. That took a few years to
yes.
get there, though. It
It's a
was
great
Dumb and
movie.
Dumber for a long time and Kingpin, but every time I watch Step Brothers, it gets better every time I watch it.
That
So,
was.
there's so many small remarks that are hilarious.
It's a very quotable movie.
yes, one of the most quotable movies.
Yes.
I've never watched that movie and not found something I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
True. I could see that.
My favorite scene is the Pan to Pam dilemma scene.
Oh,
Their
yes.
job interviews.
2 ends.
I die.
I
at
just used that
scene.
recently.
Really?
That is.
You guys are wearing tuxes to an interview that requires
That
you to
is
clean toilets.
hilarious.
That whole stretch of them interviewing at different jobs is just comedy gold.
Isn't there one where like, no, we're running the interview.
yes. They start trying to take control of it.
That
Oh,
part,
man.
we can't talk about that part. There might be kids watching this.
Well,
shit.
yeah, we're not
exactly.
gonna
They're
go
gonna be
too in depth there. That's
Step Brothers. That sounds
be
like a
careful.
clean movie.
yeah. Yeah. No,
Okay,
don't
so
wanna
if
watch
I
it.
got a story for you. So that's what I thought, because I'd only seen a few Will Ferrell movies.
Mm-hmm.
So Alice and I, we meet the Eatons for a date night. We went up and watched the movie and meet Chris and Carla, and we're sitting there, and Allison's uncle comes in.
Yep.
He's from Southern Iowa. I'm like, oh, hey, Russ, how you doing? Then his kids come in. I thought, well, this movie's rated R. They're kind of young, but oh well. Then Allison's mom comes in. Then Allison's 85-year-old grandparents come in
Oh
next.
no.
Ooh.
And I'm sitting behind them. Oh, I laughed as hard at the fact that they were at that movie as I did at the movie itself.
Did they last the
Yeah.
whole movie?
So her grandma leans over, Vern, should we leave? And they just powered right through. They stayed to the
Nice.
That was
end.
good.
And there was
Troopers.
people leaving. That's why they didn't show rated R movies there for several years.
It's true.
Yeah.
They wouldn't. Yeah.
So
I mean.
yeah, I enjoy that movie, but yeah, I remember it for that moment as much as the movie itself.
It is.
I think Allison was horrified the whole time.
Yeah.
It wasn't my parents. or
Yeah. No. It wasn't
grandparents.
yours.
Oh yeah.
It's
You're,
hers,
you're
so
probably
that's
just
the
chill.
thing.
You're enjoying it. You're laughing at them being disturbed.
Oh,
by
that
it.
is awesome. So your traditional summer job has been landscaping. You still doing that?
Every year I say I'm done. That's kind of a young man's job, and I am not as young as I used to be. and
True.
I've been kind of transitioning. I'm starting to paint houses.
Okay.
Oh. Now, who
I do
could
have
power
3
wash those
jobs.
houses for you?
The what?
Who could power wash those houses for you? Mason Fritz.
I know a guy.
Combo.
Nice shout out.
Yes, I love that one of my former athletes runs a small business in the summer. That's great. I wish someone would start a landscaping business so they could take some of this work off my hands.
Yeah.
So every year I tell my classes this is a ready-made moneymaker.
That's true.
You just have
I
to be
mean,
young to do it.
yeah. Who? I don't even know who pops into head like for that.
Yeah.
I mean, Zach.
No, absolutely not. I'm not good at that
There
stuff.
you
at
go.
all. I'm not good at that stuff at all.
That's hilarious. Yeah, but no, Mason was just
You
pulling.
don't want to waste that. Well, you waste those college degrees on that.
Mason was
That's
just
true.
pulling to practice last year with his power washer strapped
Yep.
to the back of his car.
Oh, yeah.
And,
Yep.
well,
Yeah,
from
him
his
and
videos, it
Jackson were
looks good.
talking about doing some other type of power, something washing roofs or something. I don't know.
Mason was mentioned that
Did
the
he?
other day too to me. Yeah, he was doing some research on it. He's maybe hoping to expand his.
Washing.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is
something like
that?
that. I don't know.
I like working for myself in the summer. It's kind of nice.
Yeah. No, I mean, I get
Kids
it.
want to do something, I can just walk off the job and go to the lake or go do something. It's nice.
True.
Yeah.
True. All right. Rapid fire.
I'm gonna say one more
'Kay.
story. Just I forgot to chime it in when we were talking about Slade in middle school basketball. Do you remember we were beating Forest City in 8th grade at home
Oh, yes.
by 2, and at that time you couldn't press. So
Right.
you're trying to drop a play. I think there's like 8 seconds left. You're like trying to drop a play. You know, we're probably gonna get fouled. Go to the line, and
I think we were trying to run Soderbergh or something to keep
Yeah.
the ball away. And yeah.
and then
And
Slade.
they kept fouling us.
Yeah, they kept following us, and then Slade's like, wait, why don't we all just go in the backcourt since they can't press? And you look at him, you're like, yes, let's do that. Let's do that.
So Slade's IQ ran pretty fast right there.
Slade's IQ
And
is
I
pretty
said,
good.
I said to Jeff Jerome, I'm sorry. And he looked at me and goes, I'd have done the same thing to you.
And the thing is, I'm pretty sure we had to use it again at Forest City. I think we in a very
Yep.
similar situation, so we had to do the same thing.
Hey,
Smartest thing Slade's ever done.
you're just playing
Not
by the
even
rules.
close.
Yeah.
Smartest thing Slade's ever done.
Yeah.
So shout out Slade
Yeah.
for winning us 2 games.
Yeah, and it was always fun. It's always fun to beat Forest City. And I love
Oh, yeah.
coaching against Jeff Jerome. He's
Yeah.
just a great guy.
He's cool.
Yep, he really is.
He's one of my favorite coaches I've ever coached against. He's just fun to talk to and down to earth. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I did apologize for doing that, and he didn't bother him one bit.
He could have thought it was really scummy and kind of got a little
No, yeah,
little bitter about it,
absolutely.
but
Oh,
yeah.
It's the rules.
Yeah, it's the rules. Now they changed it under
They
2
did
minutes.
change that not long
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah,
I
under 2
actually,
minutes
I
is
was like,
fast.
yeah, you need to allow the press
Oh, yeah.
at least the last minute.
Say, actually,
And now they let them press.
I'll say
so.
now it's press unless you're up by 15.
Something like that.
Yeah, because I think it went from no pressing to 2 minutes, and then
Yeah, if you're killing them, they don't let you do it.
Yeah.
Well, there was one game, my last year at Newman, when Doug Taylor and them were 8th
Bert.
graders. I don't think we scored a point until the press was off.
That's tough.
That was tough.
Yeah.
And that was even with Denton and Brady. Like,
Yeah, Denton Brady. You had
Yeah,
2
you
good
did have
players.
some
Good.
brutal games.
Yeah, they were good. All right. You want to take the first one?
Now to
That
the
one's yours.
rapid fire round that we always say is a rapid fire
All right.
round.
We're trying
and
to
it's
get better
never-
at rapid. It
Yeah,
doesn't work.
it's never usually that rapid. But
No, you may have a lot of editing to do.
yeah, I do.
Otherwise, this might be an all-time record.
No, we'll be all right. I just have to edit out, all this.
There's a decent
Wi-Fi.
amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll
But-
be good.
Yeah. So the first question: favorite Mets player ever, and we also want to hear the backstory of how you became a Mets fan.
Favorite Met of all time, no close second, is Keith Hernandez. My all-time favorite. When I was a kid, I wished I was left-handed so I could be like Keith Hernandez. I thought he was the coolest baseball player. I wanted to be a first baseman because of him. I always wore number 17. Actually, after they won the 86 World Series, I think 4 of his former teammates wore number 17 because of him after they played with him.
Interesting.
He's one of the only captains the Mets have ever had. I remember him having the C on his jersey. That was when it was a big deal.
Yeah.
The Mets, I think, have only had God, I can't think of hardly any other
I was gonna say, I
captains
don't
they've had.
see it a whole lot.
Is
Is
David
like
Wright ever?
I don't
Right,
know.
David Wright.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay.
he's the last captain that the Mets have had.
I was even thinking
So-
today, like, is Yachty a captain for the Cardinals?
I don't even
That's
know.
the
how
only
they decide
person I
that.
could
Yeah,
think of.
somebody that's
maybe.
been on the team a long time,
Yeah.
everybody respects, and is a good player.
Yeah.
No.
No, that's super cool.
Yeah, he was like he was incredible. He's the best defensive first baseman I've ever seen in my life.
So
He could completely shut down that. You couldn't even bunt on him. He could turn double plays off a bunt.
So you're
So
saying
it
he would have fielded that ground ball that Buckner booted?
So you've seen that picture behind my desk, haven't you?
I don't know if I have.
Probably, but I can't.
I can't remember. I might have just put it in right after you graduate. I have a signed picture of that play.
Yeah.
Signed by Bill Buckner and Mookie Wilson.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's cool.
The names are getting kind of faded. I should have took better care of it, but I wanted it out and on display. It's
That's
my
super
favorite
cool.
moment in sports history.
One of the
So-
biggest blunders, and
People
your
don't
team
realize,
benefited.
though.
Yeah. No, you were on the
people
right
don't realize
side.
that
of it.
was Game 6.
Yep. And then
There was another game after that because the Mets were down 3-2.
Yep.
That game sent it to a Game 7, and the Mets were down in that game also.
I did not know
And
that.
Buckner had a huge game in Game 7, and I thought for sure the Mets were going to blow that Game 7. They came back in Game 7 too and were able to get that World Series. So as far as the backstory on how I became a Mets fan, yeah, I was never a Twins fan. I grew up, obviously I've lived here all my life, but my mom is from New Jersey.
Mhm.
And my grandfather and my uncle are both rabid Mets fans. And so when I was a kid, we'd go out to New Jersey. My dad would take his whole vacation from Fleet Guard. We'd take 2 to 3 weeks every year and just stay in New Jersey
That's
at my
cool.
grandparents. And, it was a great place to go visit. My grandparents lived 6 miles from the beach. If you ever saw the show Jersey Shore,
Yep.
they lived 6 miles from Seaside Heights. We're going to Seaside Heights this summer, actually.
That's super
And some of it's accurate, some of it's a little played up, but I
Well,
love
yeah.
it. It's a great place to visit. And last time we went out, Jackson and I did go up to Citi Field, and we got to see Jacob deGrom pitch on a Friday night against the Dodgers. So
very good.
it wasn't
Very
a
good.
great game. The Mets, kind of like now, their bats were struggling. Unfortunately, also, our most hated player, Chase Utley, hit a home run that landed right in front of us in Coca-Cola
Oh,
corner.
no.
So, yeah, it was a tough one. But DeGrom pitched great through 5-6 innings like he always does. He had, I think he scored the only run in the game,
Of course he did. That's
which is like he does now.
yes.
So-
Yeah. No, he.
So yeah, I've and when I was a kid, I'd go out. So I just watch it because they were watching it, and that was when I really started getting into sports. And I was in 6th grade when they won the World Series in 1986. So that was, and I was hooked forever. 'Cause
Yep.
that team was iconic. Obviously the city of New York's won a lot of World Series. But 2 of the ones the Mets won have been absolutely iconic. The 69 Miracle Mets, and then the 1986, their second World Series. That team is absolutely beloved. And the players on those 2 teams in New York are like royalty.
Yeah.
Just like Derek Jeter or
Yep.
or Mariano Rivera or any of those guys on the Yankees.
I was gonna say, if you were a Yankees fan, you would not be on the podcast.
Yeah, it's
No
a red
way.
flag. It's
And they have killed the Twins.
I've been enjoying
so many
the Yankee
times.
struggles this year.
I have too,
But
except
the Twins,
the Twins
have been
suck
awful too, so we can't
Yeah,
even
I know.
enjoy it.
It's
They got murdered today by the Royals.
yeah, but hey, Kirilloff
We keep
looks good.
losing 2-1, 1-0. DeGrom lost 1-0 a couple days ago. I saw they lost 2-1 again last night. So
Thank you
yeah,
for
it's-
taking.
the struggle's real.
Thank you for taking Lindor though. I was sick of seeing him in
Yeah,
the Indians
Same
uniform.
division all those years.
Even
But
though
he's playing like a Met
I'll say
now,
he's
so-
struggling.
He's playing like a Met. That's tough.
His glove's great. He just can't hit.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
I mean,
That
you
is
guys got
true.
the bats. They'll get it rolling at some point. It's baseball.
I hope so.
Yeah.
You just can't have that prolonged drought.
Yeah. Then you start getting in your head and.
Now, I think I know the answer to this question already. Actually, I'm very confident. Favorite event to watch in track?
Oh, without a doubt, it's the 4x4.
Yep, I knew it.
It it's the last race in the meet for a reason. It's the last race at the state track meet. It's the first race I was ever able to get a group of kids to win a state title in. It's when I watch that race, I understand why people can become addicted to horse racing. It is so much fun to watch. You get to watch your 4 fastest ponies get after it. Each leg is an individual race. Each leg is like a war. Each leg is like a battle in a war. Every runner has to go out and just compete and do everything they can to put their team in the best position to win. And there is nothing like having a good 4x4. We've had more success in other races like the shuttle, and but for years I would figure out who my 4x4 was going to be, and then I'd thought the rest of the meet lineup. I don't do it that way anymore because I'm a little smarter about how I do things, but I have always loved that race so much. And I always will. I look forward to the next time. In 2019, we had a very nice 4x4 that year, obviously with Tommy Cactus, anchoring that thing. And this year we've just been too banged up. We have the kids to run a decent one, but when you keep getting injured, that's a race you got to run at least once a week,
right?
To really be good at it.
I mean, that's a race that, as being a thrower, that's when I exerted the most energy, because everybody's running back and forth.
It's true.
Everybody runs back and forth, chasing the runners and cheering on their guys. It's really a fun time.
Yep, I forgot about that part. It is fun if you have like 3 really good teams. That's the best, is when you have 3 good 4x4s out there, and it's just a dogfight to the very end. All the kids are running back and forth on the infield, and it's something special. So now, Zach, do you remember running a 4x4 for me?
I ran 2 of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The Waitman 4x4.
Yep. It was awful. I had by far the worst time. I ran with Marcus, Gabe, and Cole.
Yep.
Just 3 guys that are significantly.
Those kids
they're big,
can run.
But not.
Yeah, they could
was
run.
Gabe in that one?
Gabe was, yeah.
And Gabe could run a 23.5 second 200.
Yeah.
So that's not fair. And Cole was a good runner too.
Yeah.
And Marcus ran a lot of races for me.
Yeah, it was.
I put him in JV, a lot of JV sprints and stuff, and he'd do whatever he asked. He was, I always liked coaching Marcus.
And we got corn dogs out of the deal because we beat a certain time.
Yes. I might need to bring that back.
The corn dog.
I think that came from Max Burgo and Grant Beamer and those guys.
Yeah.
I asked what do you hand and corn dogs out at the team meeting at the end of the year?
Yep, at the buffet, the China buffet, handing out corn dogs.
We still do that.
Forgot about the China buffet.
That's the longest tradition in my track program. It's the only thing we've done since day one.
Yeah.
Levi Kester and Michael Stensrud wanted to go to China buffet for the team dinner.
So you're like,
so we've done it every year.
Well, yeah. I mean, buffets are the best just for big groups, anyways. But that is a very good place.
Although
you're kind of picky.
I'm a picky eater. I'm not a huge Chinese fan, but I could always find a couple things to load up on there, and it was a good time.
Now, when I was texting people, I did like 10 minutes before this because we were like, we really don't have a whole lot of stories. So I texted Kyle, I texted my friends like T.O., Al, Rice, and Scuba told me this that I forgot. Did you guys almost miss the qualifier for the 4x4?
I thought I told you that story. Yes.
Maybe you did.
So I don't like the kids to sit in the stadium. I learned my lesson there. My first year, we had a nice group of kids. Not very many. We didn't have a lot of kids out, but we had some real horses, and we ran 4 relays that first year we coached down at state. And we had a good first day, and then we sat in the sun all day long, and Levi Kester had to go out and run the 800 and laid an egg. And so I've always tried to keep the kids out of the sun as much as I can. So we went to I don't even know if it's still a mall there. We went to the Merle Hay Mall just to hang out in the shade and the air conditioning. And state track always runs right on time. And we get a text message. This is when I first had a phone that could text. And it said, the 4x1s they just called the first 4x1s. And I did the math, and I thought, that's about 25 minutes from our race. So we piled in the car. We dumped him off at the door. Nobody stretched. Nobody did it.
Oh, my Lord.
Steve Hengesteg handed Logan Struze the baton, and I think we got our number 10 minutes before the race. Struze got in the blocks and ran his fastest time ever by 2 seconds. And we broke the school record by 3 seconds.
Jeez.
That was in the prelims.
And that's,
So-
that's wild.
And that was a great race because we were just killing everyone. And Dylan Sprecher got the baton, and he ran the fastest split I've ever had. And Steve Hengesteg, usually you take the stick at the triangle in the 4x4, or you take off from the triangle. And Steve looked at him. He thought, he is hauling. Steve moved all the way to the finish line and took the baton and made Dylan run an extra 10 meters, and he still ran a 50 flat, running almost 10 extra meters in that race. So,
just remembering those guys.
So it was a fun race,
fast.
and that was the year. That crew ended up winning the 4x4 that year, so that was a fun team to coach. So, I'll have fond memories of that group my whole life. But yeah, we dang near missed that relay. I even talked about that in the newspaper.
And you've had 3 state champs, right? The 4x4 that year.
Yes, 2 relays.
Yeah, and then the shuttle, and then Grant
Shuttle, and then Grant Felstead. Yep.
So essentially, Grant Felstead twice.
Essentially,
that is one of my favorite things to watch.
That shuttle race was insane.
Not that the other runners even did bad; they held their own.
Yeah,
Grant is just another level.
Yeah.
And it was raining.
Yeah, that group was they were something special. But Grant, it looked like a video game or something.
Yeah.
Like when you go into cheat mode or whatever they call it, and all of a sudden, because we were getting, and I had talked to him, those guys had a race earlier that day. They had, I can't remember what it was, but we went and grabbed a quick bite to eat before they had to run. And I told them, it was after the prelims, because we ran the school record in the prelims the day before. And we went and ate afterwards, and I said, now tomorrow, when you guys run that, you're going to be down. Because I knew St. Ansgar, they had a stud that ran first named Brody Bruce.
Yep.
And, Brody had been hurt a lot and I don't even think he ran at districts. And I don't know how well he ran in the prelims, but they were right next to us. And Audubon had the state champion high hurdler in the other lane.
Yep.
And next to us. And I told Bert, I said, you're going to be down by, I said, keep us within a hurdle and we'll be okay. And I think we were a little more than a hurdle behind when Slade went. Slade kind of held serve, and then, it didn't even look real.
No, it really didn't.
He took off, and we were down a full hurdle length, and when he crossed the line, we were up a hurdle. Mm-hmm. And then Charlie, he ran a mid or low 14 to hold on to that because he had to hold off Cole Willert from St. Andrews.
He was a stud.
Who had won the 400 lows. He was a state champion in the 4 lows. So Charlie had some work to do.
Oh, yeah.
And Cole was catching him about halfway through. And then, about 6 or 7, Charlie started to pull away. And I was nervous. I was sitting right in the middle. I don't like to be cheer during those big races. I just sit and stew, and then usually I give out a big sigh when it's over. I don't even think I smile or anything.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. The good teams are way more tiring than the teams that are just happy to get there. So
true, very true.
So
I remember watching that on stream. It was just unbelievable. Grant Felstead just took off and took control.
That was not his fastest split for me.
No,
when he was a sophomore. So he is the only runner I've ever had that's run a shuttle split faster than 14 seconds. I think he ran a 13:98 or something. But when he was a sophomore, he used to lead off the shuttle. And we were in 2A, and we had to run against Madrid. Madrid was I think they were number 2 in the state. And they had a Santee kid who was a state champion, I think, in the 100-meter dash and a heck of a high hurdler. And this was great. Grant just uncorked one. He ran like a 13.82 or something, the fastest split I've ever clocked.
Jeez.
And, you know, in the shuttle, you yell go. And Grant yells go. And the Madrid kid, I don't think he was looking. I think he thought they'd never been behind in that race ever. So they thought it was Santee that had crossed, and their kid went and they got disqualified.
Wow.
Yeah, Madrid got themselves disqualified, and we got to the state finals. So,
From some of your top great athletes and teams, the worst tandem you've had for high jump is who? And why is it Tyler Rice and myself?
so you sent me this, and I thought I needed to do some research on this one. So I went through every
He's gonna prove it.
high jump pairing I have ever coached. And you're right. I could not find one. And it wasn't your
is
fault.
awesome.
It was my cousin Tyler.
Oh,
I went through every stinking year I've coached track, and you usually cleared opening height.
most of the time.
Most of the time. You know, if it was 5'2", you always got it. 5'4", you usually got it.
Yeah, it was close.
I had his name in there a bunch of times with no marks, so he
I
must
don't
have
think he did.
he must have scratched
Sorry,
out
Tyler.
all but 2 or 3 me. So yeah, if you would have had a better partner, you would have been okay. But it's
man.
my bloodlines there, my genetics that are we share the same purpose. So.
Now, I do remember district time came up and opening heights like 5'6" or 5'8".
Yeah,
or
they put it
something.
at 5. I don't think I didn't make you do it, did I?
No, because I came to your room in the morning and I was like, Coach, my high jumping tonight. And you go, do you want to? Nope, I'm good.
I think I remember that conversation, actually.
Yeah, that was. And then, probably to punish me, put me in the 4x4 when we had like 3 or 4 great teams and I was the anchor.
Oh, that was
Just
when you
getting
said that's the
destroyed.
You were
loaded
$400.
district.
Yeah, but
You guys
I,
had the loaded district you're talking about.
we did.
It
That
was loaded. We didn't get anything in that year.
Well, Logan was hurt. Like
That was, I think, when it was still 2 automatic. Yeah, I think it was
2.
still 2 automatics or no at large.
because
You
Logan
would have
ran
been pretty close in the
800s.
4 lows.
did
Jake
get
Brecken would
third.
have got in. Jake Brecken would have got in the shot put.
Yeah, it was tough.
And under our current system, and so would Strews in the 800. You know, because Logan had gotten hurt. That if Logan would have been healthy, he would have got something in.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
he was.
Yeah.
By the time he was a senior, he would have probably been my best 400 runner ever. But he tweaked a hamstring at Clear Lake in a 200, and then he was never right again. I tried to run him in the 8, but he even said in that race it was bumping up. He was bumping up against it the whole time. He just couldn't open it up.
He still did really well in the 800 too, but you're right.
He ran like a
couldn't open
206.
it up.
I'd take that right now.
Yeah, it's that really stunk. And I remember I think Slush pulled something. Jake did a little bit.
Yeah, that was one of
running.
those snake bit years. That's kind of
Yeah.
like this. I feel like every 5-6 years I end up with something, and I end up revamping my whole warm up and everything, and I don't know if it does any good or not. But
I think it's just the. I mean, you see it all the time in professional sports. It's just one of those years that happens.
you know, because I haven't had injuries like that for years. So
Right.
it happens some years.
So should we go to the draft? Should we?
Oh, we got one left.
Whatever you want
what's
to talk
one?
about, fellas. I see
What's
some good
one?
stuff on the list here, but whatever
You
you want
got
to
the
do.
last question there, pal.
This one?
Yep.
The one that you added?
You take it.
All right. Your life's on the line, Coach Rice. Who do you like more, Jackson or Jolie?
So Alice and I were talking about this. Do they have to keep me alive, or my life's on the line to answer this?
You have to. That's just
Yes,
to answer it.
Just
Yep.
to answer it.
So I talked to Coach Throne about this, and I took the kids' response.
Yep.
Jolie replies, obviously me. And Jackson goes, Mom likes me better. And they both agree.
They both agree. So
So it wasn't as good. It wasn't as good as I thought.
So
yeah.
Hey,
we are pretty fortunate. We have kids that like a lot of the same things we do. You know, both kids have things they like to do with both of us. You know, Jackson and I much to Chris's dismay, do love to go fishing a lot. Jackson, I did the thing I shouldn't do, and I pulled him out of baseball for a week, and we went to Canada. It was an awesome trip, by the way.
No, yeah.
I've
never been to Canada.
I've never been either, but I've always
heard
heard it's really
I've
cool.
heard it's
Yeah, it was incredible. Him and I we share that stuff. I don't hunt. He is obsessed with hunting, and I have no interest in that. But him and I do love to go fishing, and we share a common interest in sports. And Jolie and I, she likes the outdoors too. Her and I went snowboarding over spring break out in Montana, and her and I, we do get along in a little different way. Her and I like to travel. Jackson is not much for just sitting in a car for days on end. And her and I will just get in the car and we will pick a direction and we'll just go. We stay off the 4-lane highways as much as we can, and whatever weird stuff we come across, that's what we're doing for the day. So
that's pretty cool.
Her and I have that interest. So I'm very fortunate. I've got, 2 kids who I can share a lot of fun experiences with, and we have a good time, and it's been fun getting to see them grow up and getting to know them both. As young adults now, Jackson's in college, and he'll actually be done in July. He's going for Powerline Tech, and Jolie's a freshman in high school, so I've got her in my classroom now. So it's been a lot of fun to see them grow up. And when you're a teacher's kid, you're kind of in the public eye, and I tell a lot of stories, and I put them on the spot a lot in my classroom. They may not know it until I get them in the classroom, and I'm pretty lucky. They're a good sport with me. They shake their head at me a lot, but I'm real fortunate with those 2. So
I just remembered something. The legendary thing from Mr. Rice's classes, the football. Did you guys ever have the football?
So we retired it for this year.
Okay.
Because of COVID. It's sitting in my room. It's destroyed. It's like
yes.
Yeah. Now that's the 3rd football.
That's the 3rd
I'm
one.
on my 3rd one, yeah. Jackson bought it. He was a kid. I took him to his first Vikings game. He was little, and he bought that and never used it. So I'm like, I'm just going to take this and use it in the classroom. Mm-hmm. And, we went, I've gone through 2, I think 2 of them actually. And it's in bad shape. I need to get a 3rd one. But
yeah,
Jackson is, he never witnessed a Vikings loss until we played at the Gopher Stadium. I took him to a game every year in person. He never saw the Vikings lose. And that was the game where the Detroit Lions sacked Bridgewater like 15 or 20 times, it felt like, over and over.
Clemmings probably at tackle. TJ Clemmings probably.
Yeah, well, let's be real. Our line
hopefully
just got better, but
hopefully it just got better. But yeah, the football, he tossed it around for people to answer questions. And
so it's like a talking stick.
Basically, yes. But it was always so nerve-wracking. Like, you try to keep your head down. Hopefully, you don't want your friend to get it because
so it's a random toss.
Yeah,
like when he starts
Mr. Rice will start it, and then your
friend's gonna toss it to you.
You don't want your friend to get it because they're gonna throw it to you.
And let's be real.
Especially they'll throw it to you, especially if you don't have the answer.
Oh yeah, they'll be like, I know he just did this last hour and put something together quick, so throw it to him.
Yeah, no,
embarrass
that's
himself.
true.
But like,
I'm gonna bring that back as soon as we get done with this COVID business. So
yeah, it's kind of tough.
That does sound
everything
cool.
that's happened, and hopefully the football makes its reappearance. And I try to keep my head down, and it was the worst. You
good
could just
student, Zach. I don't know. You guys did fine.
It was just like it's just nervous. Like I know I'd have the right answer, but just talking or giving your answer with the possibility of being wrong. That's what's tough.
I think
that's how I was in math. When I was in math class, once a week you had to go and do a math problem on the board in front of the whole class, and it was awful. And I was always the dumbest kid in the smart math class, so it was terrible. And it was that way from 5th grade on. And when I was in 5th grade, I had Mr. Iverson as a teacher. I don't know if you guys know him. Mm-hmm. He'd always throw stuff at you if you did dumb stuff in class. And we had blackboards with chalk, so we didn't have. I'm so old. We didn't have whiteboards. And I'd be screwing up a math problem, and I'd go to just wipe it off with my hand, and he'd just pelt you with an eraser right in the back of the head. Don't touch that board. You'll get oil from your hands on the board. I'm like, I'm just terrified to be up here and answer this math question.
That's hilarious. That teacher for me was Steve Pete.
I never had him.
I love Steve Pete.
He's a great teacher, but like I just felt so stupid if I didn't get
he
the
was
answer
scary.
correct. He was in a just a good way. Like I don't know what it was, and he always knew when to call on you. Mm-hmm. Like I always felt like I knew the answer, but kind of like you, but like I didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah.
Were you guys in the class where he tore the speaker off the wall?
I don't know if I was in it, but I remember the story.
I thought it was Harmon's class. They graduated and they played Schools Out.
That could be.
And
that could be.
The song got done, and then they played it again. So he let it go the first time, being a good sport. And then he just calmly got up from his seat, went over, moved his chair over, and ripped the speaker out of the wall, set it down, and went back to teaching again. Like it was no big deal.
Oh, man.
I remember that. I remember the School's Out. I was like in 3rd grade. I remember that being played. Yeah.
That's insane.
So we're like
They did it a few years in a row.
Yeah.
That is,
Yep.
yeah.
But, he was a carpenter, and he fixed it all himself. I suppose you can wreck something if you're going to fix it. I couldn't do that.
No.
I'd have to hire somebody.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that is cool, though.
It's
That is-
trip down memory lane right there.
Was that it? Was that in the new science rooms? Had to be.
Is that the?
So was that the new science? Well, the science rooms we have now.
Those rooms were new when that happened. They were really new.
Yeah, it just got put up.
Yeah.
That's funny. That is funny.
CP.
Yeah,
all right.
He's one of my all-time favorites. Love
Absolutely.
coaching with him.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot he coached.
I didn't
too.
know he coached.
He coached
yeah.
Beth, right?
Yep, I had him. He coached basketball. He's a
Basketball.
freshman basketball coach. And he coached girls
right.
hoops for years.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then he got out of it, and then he came with Kyle and I for probably 2 or 3 years. He was just a lot of fun.
Interesting.
Lots of good stories, good times with Pete.
Can only imagine.
Yeah.
From him.
I basically just
He's
remember him as the
legendary with some of
Duggars'
those
neighbor.
guys. Cole Christensen's class and Tyler Brackey, they treated him like he was Paul Bunyan or something.
Some mythical creature.
Oh, yeah.
That is awesome.
That is awesome. But is it time?
I think it's time.
It's time for the draft.
I think it's time. For
Okay.
So too. Okay, so today we
gotta dress the part.
we got to do this. I just got to put on this new jersey.
You got the color rush.
Oh.
I got the color rush.
You guys wait 1 second.
All right,
here
he's
we
gonna
go.
put his on
Here
too.
we go.
Let's go. So I just got this one, Justin Jefferson color rush.
Justin
Sounds
Jefferson.
good.
I
Yes,
actually
sir.
ordered it draft night last year. He's a little behind. I was on the train.
You were on the train
on the
before.
right away.
What if you would have changed his number though with the new NFL?
I would have DM'd and be like, "Can you sign it, please?"
Can you sign that?
Because-
who's doing that?
Dantzler was going to,
Dantzler
but
was
he
going to,
didn't
yeah, that's right.
change.
So so before Mr. Rice gets back here, we're gonna do a Minnesota Vikings all-time Minnesota Vikings draft.
Best players.
We're thinking best players, yeah. Like we're not necessarily doing favorites.
Oh, look at this.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
Is it John Randall?
You bet.
Let's
Yes.
go.
All-time favorite Viking.
Well, we know who's going first.
Yeah, he might go first. But just to explain the draft quick, we're doing all-time. We think we're gonna do best Vikings, not necessarily
Okay.
favorite, but. Chris was thinking about taking his favorite player. I won't spoil it with his last
He's
pick.
definitely not in the best.
How many picks are we doing on this? Because
We're going to do
5.
You have
Yeah.
the first pick, then I'm second. Chris will take 2 in a row, and then it's snake draft.
Yeah, so you'll get the, 1, 2, 3, 4. You'll get
okay, the
6th and
Vikings are
7th
tricky
total.
because normally I would always go with a quarterback first.
Yeah, but it's not
We are not
necessarily
a storied quarterback franchise.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I feel like that's kind of a wash. I am going to go with Randy Moss.
Yeah,
That's
you
a
have
great
to.
pick.
You have
Great-
to.
I got to go. I went to a lot of Vikings games and watched him, and I think the Vikings have 2 players that could possibly be the greatest ever to play at their position, and I think he's one of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously, you get the Jerry Rice comparison. I think Jerry Rice was maybe a more well-rounded wide
He was
receiver.
more technical.
Right. But Randy Moss, I think, is the greatest talent ever to play at that position and had a great career. It wasn't just
Yes.
like he was 5 years and done. He had a fantastic career, but the games he played, the things he could do to a team, cornerbacks would line up 20 yards off and he would still somehow get past them. It was incredible.
Well, the
Tampa
story
2
always was, the Tampa 2 was created because of Randy. Yep. The Green Bay drafted, 4 straight D-backs one year because of Randy?
Yeah, he was incredible.
I vaguely remember enough of him.
Yeah.
I wish he never would have left, obviously. But...
Oh, I know.
Well, Brian Billick during the 98 year literally had a play called "Throw It Up to Randy"
because he's going to get by him.
Throw it up to him. Yeah.
He'd say, "Just chuck it, dog," and he would go for it. Yeah, it was. And Randall Cunningham did not have the arm to get it that far anymore. He was
older.
He was hanging drywall or countertops or something, and they brought him in to play quarterback that year.
Because Brad Johnson got hurt after the first game, right? Or during the first game. And then, obviously, he got to play with Dante,
he would have been our probably only franchise quarterback if he doesn't get hurt.
Hurt his knee.
Oh, yeah.
He was.
If he would have stayed healthy, he probably would have, and he probably would have been the one I thought would be our best quarterback.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. Second pick.
Where are you going?
I'm going to go with the guy that I always wanted a jersey of every single year, Adrian Peterson. Growing up, Adrian Peterson, in my opinion, I'm obviously very biased as a Vikings fan. I think he's the best running back, not necessarily
pure
running the ball. Yes,
not the new age, shotgun.
He couldn't catch to save his
RPOs.
life. That man was put on this earth to run a football.
To take it, you dot the I, run downhill. Yeah, that was
every single play was
the most violent runner I've ever seen.
Yeah. In obviously the MVP year,
even more than Earl Campbell, I think. Earl Campbell may have been more of a punishing style runner, but
True.
He was just Adrian was terrifying to get in front of, especially when he was young and he was so fast.
And to be honest, let's be real.
Tackle. He'd take it to the house every time.
Yeah. Some of his quarterbacks didn't even make the defense respect the passing game.
He's facing 8-man boxes every single game.
It was wild. His highlight tape is insane. The ones that always stick out to me is at Soldier Field when he
when he was a rookie, rushed for 220.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yep.
Freaking his MVP year, every single play, there was a chance it could go to the house, and that's what made it so awesome.
6 months after ACL surgery,
something like that. Yeah.
It was
I'd always take Jackson up when they'd play the Lions or somebody terrible, and he'd have 2-3 touchdowns. Jackson thought he was the greatest player that ever played the game.
That's awesome.
Oofda.
I took him one year though. I was sick of seeing Detroit and Arizona play, so I took him to the Niners, and that was the year they had gone to the Super Bowl the year before, I think. And I said, we're probably not going to win this one. And by then he was old enough; he was paying attention. He goes, I know we're going to lose this one. And Adrian had 3 touchdowns, and they pulled him at the end because he had the fumbling issue, and they put Toby Gerhardt in. Toby Gerhardt twice that game.
Jeez.
That's fine, but let's just be honest. Toby's not showing up in this draft.
Toby Gerhardt will not be picked in this draft. He wasn't awful though. It was kind of.
He was kind of that. He was. Yeah. He was
weird.
To give Adrian a rest and.
Yeah.
If he could have played, he was
He was Stanford, wasn't he?
Allstott.
Yeah, he was Stanford. He got second in the Heisman, I think.
I think so.
Manti Te'o.
He looked faster at Stanford, but maybe that's just because it's college guys compared to NFL.
He was kind of put Jake Brecken in the NFL. He's kind of built like Jake Brecken.
Yeah, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Yep. All right, 2 in a row.
Well, 2. Let's see.
Boy.
This is tough.
Yeah, because the obvious first 2 are gone.
Yep.
I'm going to have to go with Chris Carter.
Chris Carter. Okay, I respect it.
After that, let's go Fran Tarkenton.
Fran Tarkenton, okay. Probably the one franchise QB you could probably go with.
The best passer before passing was huge.
Yeah, best scrambler before passers, yeah.
All right, Zach. When I get back to mine,
I don't know if this might not be a reach, but I believe this guy won MVP, and I'm going to go with
Christian Ponder.
Absolutely not Christian Ponder. I'm going to go with Alan Page.
Ooh.
I jotted him down for some stuff. I just never. That was before my time, even.
Yeah, he won an MVP, so I was like,
"Yep,
I might as well pick him."
A lot of people think is the greatest Viking ever to play.
Yeah, he's up there.
I saw him on a few lists. So,
And
He's done his
probably
research.
the heart of the Purple People Eaters.
yep. And what he had one year where he blocked like 9 or
An
10
insane amount.
field goal kicks
Yeah.
one year. I think it might have been the MVP year.
Yeah.
Just insane. I think he's a judge now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
or something like that.
Is it
Yeah,
Alan Page?
yeah. I'm pretty sure.
I think
I
he's
feel
the
like
one
you're-
that. I think he retired. He was a Minnesota State Supreme Court justice. I believe.
That's what it was. Yep.
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 All right, Dan, you got 2 in a row.
Oh, let's see. I need If I'm gonna go on the line both ways. I need a defensive lineman, so I've got to go with John Randall.
Yep.
Okay.
And from the same era, this is, I feel, the other Viking who's the greatest player at their position,
This is
an
a
offensive
steal.
lineman,
This is a steal.
Randall McDaniel.
Yeah.
Gosh, dang it.
That's a good one.
I think he might be the best player at their position the Vikings have ever had. I think he's the best guard in NFL history.
Just
That's
remembering
my
his
position.
pictures,
That's my opinion.
he was a monster.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever read his old stories about like high school track?
He did a 360 on a dunk on someone in a high school versus NFL football or Vikings
Oh
game.
my lord.
If
He was
you,
an
if you get the
incredible
chance, look up his his times and stuff for track. Insane. Like he threw and he ran. Absolutely nutty athlete.
That is wild.
And also, Dad had a story. He had, at training camp, he was with you. You were with him. You were on his shoulders, and he
I dropped the
claims,
football.
Randall McDaniel was just signing. No, I don't know about that.
No,
one.
I did
Randall
drop the football
McDaniel
at
was
one
just
point.
signing autographs and stuff at training camp, and literally, it's getting so late that team officials are saying, "Let's go, Mick. Come on, we gotta go. We gotta go." Didn't even pay attention to him. Just kept signing autographs for kids and fans. So like, seemed like a great guy too.
Yeah, I think so.
And we can't say that a lot about some of our other picks.
And those are probably two of my favorite. They're probably my two favorite Vikings also.
Those are good ones.
John Randall, if he doesn't hyperextend his knee, he probably plays a much bigger force in that NFC Championship game in '98.
True.
See, on the last literally the last play, I think last defensive play, he hyperextended his knee against the Cardinals the week before.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was not moving the same during the NFC Championship.
Just
I
always
never got
happens.
to see him in person, unfortunately. I didn't start going to a lot of Vikings games until right after. He went to Seattle, I think, after he was done at Minnesota, and then I'm not sure where he ended up at, if he ended up anywhere after that.
That's right.
He might have. I think he has the most sacks for a D tackle of all time.
I think so.
I think he has the most sacks. Yeah.
They'd move him all over the place, inside out. He'd be on the edge sometime, and
They say one of the
he
best
was
trash
one of the
talkers of all time too.
You
One of the
what?
best trash talk. They said he's one of the best
Oh, yeah.
trash talkers of all time too.
Yeah, his mic'd ups are great.
Yes, mic'd up
Oh, they're
clips.
fantastic.
Leads
All
to
right, so I
me.
got 3 down now.
Yeah, Zach's up, and I don't know even where I want to
Dude,
go.
I don't even know where I want to go either.
Actually, I know which one of them I'll take, but
This is a toughie. Where do I go with this? Because I should have made a list. I'm just trying to go off the dome.
Yep.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of maybe somebody just having an amazing year. I might go. This is a reach. This is a reach, but I'm gonna go Dante Culpepper. Healthy Dante.
That's
Culpepper.
fine. That's
I'm taking
fine.
it.
That's
This is
fine.
a reach. I'm doing it.
All right.
Need a
Fit
quarterback,
perfectly.
don't I?
He would fit perfectly.
You don't have
today.
to have a quarterback.
Yeah, you don't necessarily
It's
have
just
to.
straight talent.
I know, I'm having a
straight
hard time. I feel like, do I need to build a team, or do I need
Nope.
the
Don't
best
build a
player?
team.
Yeah, we're not building the team, just best players.
Okay.
Yep.
Best players? All right.
My first one is Paul Krause.
NFL career interception leader.
Yep. After that, we're getting. I mean, it's not like
We're not taking guys that were like one contract people from other teams.
I mean, if they played
Nope, I
that
didn't
well in
wanna
that
go-
year,
So essentially, Brett Favre.
yeah.
I
Brett
wouldn't
Favre.
take. Yeah, I always
That's
felt like
that's tough. That's yeah.
I mean, the second year he
I
was
felt like we
not
sold
good.
our souls. Yeah,
True.
that was the soul.
The
selling
second year
our
was
souls
terrible.
pick there.
Yeah.
We paid for it.
How about
This is actually really tough.
I didn't like him even just recently,
Okay.
but I've come to the point where like he did what he wanted.
Okay.
He also supplied probably my favorite moment of all time.
Okay.
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs. I don't know about that one.
I mean, great receiver.
I think we got a
obviously,
better
but
receiver in the draft last year.
Woo!
We're wearing him. We're wearing
I
him.
like
so.
Justin Jefferson.
I love him.
Good dude.
I really like him.
He is the man.
I think we had a reasonable draft this year.
Oh, I love the draft.
I
had.
think we nailed
drafted
it.
2 day one starting O-linemen.
Yeah.
Yep.
We
I think
needed
we nailed
linemen.
it.
We picked Christian. What's his name? I
Darisaw.
didn't know who he was.
Darisaw, yeah,
I haven't seen his
Darisaw,
name.
yeah. And then I went and watched a bunch of film on him yesterday, and he's impressive.
He's a big dude,
yeah.
too.
They said
He can get out into that second level, and he'll go after linebackers, and he's an athlete. Runs like a 4.7, 740 or something at his size.
No, he can move.
Really, yeah, and
No,
they
he's
said
good
he had
athlete.
one Power 5 offer out of high school, and then he started his first year at Vatech and was a freshman All-American. So
That's wild.
it's kind of a wild story.
And then you
yeah.
just get
And then
Wyatt
the kid
Davis in
from
the
Ohio
third
State,
round.
he looks like
Yep.
a beast. He's had some injuries, but sounds
Yep.
like
He just got
that's
hurt
the only
in
way
the
you get him at where we
title
got him.
game or whatever.
Well, because like during the season they were doing mock drafts, and he was projected to go to us in the first round.
Yep.
And then he got injured against Clemson, or is it Alabama? It's one of the two. He got injured in
Well,
one of
yeah, I
those
remember.
games, and then that's how he moved down, which I'll take it. It is my pick.
Is your pick?
I might
Oh
go.
my god.
I think.
What are we in middle school?
Oh,
Jeez.
I'm gonna go with Steve Hutchinson.
Oh yeah.
See, I was
Good
on the
one.
fence there. I didn't know if we had him long. I think we had him long enough.
We had
to
him a
pick.
solid amount.
We
yeah.
did,
He was
yeah.
really good at the Seahawks too, but
Yep.
we had him for a solid amount of years there.
All right, Rice. You can finish off your team with 2 picks.
My team and 2 picks.
Yep.
Oh. One, another defensive lineman, Chris Dolman.
Yep.
Loved Chris Dolman. He's probably the first Viking I really loved. You know, he was there. He'd be a few years before John Randall. I'm gonna pick someone I think would excel in today's game, and I'm gonna go Chuck Foreman.
Okay.
Oh wow.
I think he would be
Chucky baby.
in today's game a guy that you could line up, you could run him, you could use him, slide him out to receiver. I don't know if he's necessarily even a top 3 running back, but I think in today's game, I would like to have a running back like that.
Yeah. I
Don't disagree.
mean, he was always at training camp doing autographs for kids and stuff, so we
Yep.
got to
Yeah,
meet him a couple
he signed
times.
autographs. The first time I took the whole family to a Vikings game was a few years ago, and obviously, you know, my daughter Jolie is diabetic, so we're walking up, and there's this tent that says Medtronic, and they're one of the biggest, you know, suppliers of diabetes medical equipment in the world. And my Allison goes, "Hey, that's a Medtronic tent. We should go see what they've got." And I said, "That's Chuck Foreman in there." Who's Chuck Foreman?
Oh, that's cool.
I got a picture of us all with Chuck Foreman, and
That's
he
awesome.
signed everything you put in front of him.
That's
He
super
didn't
cool.
he wouldn't turn anything away. Seems like a great guy.
Yeah,
And he's one of
picture
Mr.
with him, too.
Burns's.
Yep.
He's one of Coach Burns's favorite football players.
I believe it.
Chuck Foreman. I
Yeah.
did not know that.
I didn't either.
The right
but
era
makes
there. He's
sense.
a little older than me.
All right.
Let's see.
You got to cheat here.
I might just see if I'm forgetting about anybody. Oh man, where do I want to go? I have one in mind. He was maybe a little bit. He's kind of like an unsung. You know, didn't really get his flowers when he was with us or playing.
Okay.
I might go another D lineman.
Oh yeah.
You're
That's
probably
what I was gonna do.
Kevin Williams.
No.
I'm
yes.
thinking Kevin Williams.
Oh,
I think
yeah,
I know who you're
Williams
talking
Wall.
Yeah, him and Pat. This
Yeah.
is Corey
They were
Mathis.
fun to watch.
it's a
Corey
dominant
Mathis
force.
growing up, his favorite player was Pat Williams. So his Xbox name was White Williams 94.
Oh, I like Corey.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I haven't seen him in years.
I haven't seen him for a while. Nope.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed him.
same.
I'll be honest. I'm usually pretty confident in every draft. This one, I don't think I'm
It's tough,
even
man.
getting
It's
seconds.
tough.
So the two I'm thinking of is either Jared Allen
Yep, I knew who you were.
Okay.
or, I mean, Harrison Smith?
Harrison Smith does deserve to be in the conversation.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
I'll just do it.
Hitman?
Harrison Smith.
Harrison Smith, I like that pick a lot.
We've drafted
I
him.
like
He's
that.
been there.
yeah. God,
Yeah.
you know, if I had to pick a safety, he on an all-time team, he might be one of the 2 safeties.
Yeah.
I'd put him and Joe. I'd probably have
he's-
Joey Browner as the other one. I'd have Harrison
Joey
Smith. And
Browner.
Joey Browner was always the second best safety in the NFL after Ronnie Lott.
Yeah.
He played in
True.
the Ronnie Lott years.
Harrison's
And Ronnie Lott might be an
just-
all-time.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, he's
absolutely.
definitely. Yeah, he's
Harrison's
definitely
just,
top
you know, not in the spotlight, off the field. Like, he just shows up, does his job.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
I mean, there's a clip I saw recently. We were playing the Patriots a few years back, and Bill Belichick compared him to Palomalu and
Yeah.
Reed.
Well, he does
Who
everything.
is this? Ronnie Lott or who?
No, Harrison Smith.
Oh, Harrison Smith. Oh, yeah.
Belichick,
He's,
yeah.
he's up at the line. He's in second level.
He's
They always
Zim's
talk about
fixer.
how
Plays the
great
deep
he is
ball.
at disguising.
Yeah.
Disguising is his thing. That nobody knows what he's doing before the play.
Yeah, that is.
Yep.
sweet.
Zim always calls him his fixer. You know, when something's wrong with the defense, he's the guy that,
Put him there.
you know, figures out what's wrong and fixes it out there.
And I always feel like if you see a deep play happen or something, and Harrison's right there, it wasn't even his job,
Is
but
that
he
he's trying to
realized
cover
that
up for
he
somebody
had to
else?
cover somebody.
For the
Yeah.
most part.
That's what it seems like.
So you want to read
But-
off the teams?
Recap the teams. Mr. Rice. That was weird. Why did I just say Mr. Rice? We'll go Coach Rice.
Coach.
You guys don't have to do that anymore, you know.
No, I know. It just
I
kind
will
of
say that's something
out.
I struggle with. Like
Yeah.
like Mr. Duggar. I will always call him Mr. Duggar. I'll never call him
Never
Mike
Mike.
Duggar. I'll never call him. He was even my coach growing up for basketball. I'll never call him Coach Duggar.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
call
true.
him Mr. Duggar. He's forever Mr.
It,
Duggar.
it does take
I
a
have
couple few
teachers.
years.
My
after.
teachers, I didn't even know their first names. It was just, well, it was all misses when I was coming through school.
Yeah,
It was
true.
weird having a, you know, Mr. Iverson. Ooh, there's a guy teacher in the elementary. I didn't know those existed.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's awesome. All right, Coach Rice's team: Randy Moss, John Randall, Randall McDaniel, Chris Dolman, and Chuck Foreman. Zach, Adrian Peterson, Alan Page, Dante Culpepper, Steve Hutchinson, and Kevin Williams. Mine, Chris Carter, Fran Tarkenton, Paul Krause, Stephon Diggs, and Harrison Smith. That Stephon pick is now bugging.
I think money might have it. I would have.
Yeah.
I like my team a lot, but Zach's
Well, you have
team,
Randy. Randy would have been.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You have both Randys. You have Randy and Randall.
Oh,
so
I have
those,
Randy
those are
Randall and
You have Randy, John
Randy.
Randall, and
yeah.
Randy.
You have 3 Randys.
That's wild.
That's a tough. We'll have to put out a poll on like Facebook
I
or
think
something.
I
You can
haven't
share it on
admitted
there.
somebody else winning, but I think he wins.
Yeah, it's.
Sadly.
I like Rice's team a lot.
Yeah.
So, hey, thanks for coming on with us
Yeah.
today. You know, even through the connection
Absolutely.
issues and all, it was fun talking to you. It's been a while. It was a good time today. Thanks for joining us and just chilling outside in Lake Mills. And
Absolutely. Good luck with the
No.
rest of the track season.
yeah, and thank you guys for doing all this. You know, everybody I ever talked to this winter was just so thankful that you guys are willing to call the games, and now you've been able to turn it into something you really enjoy into, you know, something important. This has been fun, and you did a real service to this community in the last year. You know, we didn't know if we'd have a basketball season, and
Yeah.
you know, I know a lot of people were upset about, you know, not getting to go to the games and those types of things. I started to kind of enjoy staying home to watch the games, to listen to you guys call it.
Yeah.
You know, I could sit in my recliner and have my big screen TV and my popcorn, and I really enjoyed that. I listened to, you know, anytime I wasn't doing clock, anytime I was home, I was listening to you guys call the ball game, and I really enjoyed that. So thank you guys, and I appreciate everything you've done. So,
It definitely means a lot. Just knowing how bad we were at the start, it seemed like, but
Oh my gosh.
it got
Hey,
so much fun.
hey.
Like,
Mr. Beamer and I always say, as teachers, every teacher should go back and apologize to the first class that they had, because anytime you start something new, it's going to
that's
be.
true.
And,
it is true.
You know, I had Jared Feener and those guys in my first class, and I think they probably really suffered that year, but they turned out all right.
I was gonna say they turned out just fine.
They're okay. Yeah, no, thank you. It does mean a lot
Yeah.
whenever anybody says it, but obviously, a friend like you and a close guy, it means even more. So, this has been fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of
Really.
fun. Thanks for coming on with us today, Dan. See, I called him Dan right
There
there.
you go. We
There
got
you
it.
go. You're getting it.
It feels weird.
Breaking it.
Thanks a lot, Dan.
Yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
ya.
You guys take care. It was fun.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
All right. Bye.
See ya.